Good evening, everyone. Apologies for the lateness. We were late getting back from the movies, and I need to change the background to this. Actually, let's fix this right now. I can't. I've done a background for it. Oh, there we go. Cool. There we go. That's better. Yeah, we were late getting back, and then we had to get food, and then I ended up showing Dale the Red Letter Media video.
I'm Dale.
That's Dale. I ended up showing him the Red Letter Media video on Darth Vader's suit. And yeah, that took about 20 minutes. So we're here, 40 minutes late, but we are here, ready to talk about Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Arguably the best Star Wars movie by some. Would you? Oh no, yours is A New Hope, isn't it? Of course it is. Yeah,
that's why I went arguably.
Yeah,
because New Hope, I still think this is objectively the better movie. It has more things and more. But I like the first one. I love it. Feels more nostalgic. I don't think it was the first one I watched. I think I've said conflicting because I don't remember the exact first one I watched. I think it was probably episode 1 or something. But it has the most nostalgic feel, and it has loads of mystery around it. And what I like as well is it's a movie where there are sequels that work. It's not just shitty like, oh, we'll just do sequels because it was successful. They work because of all the mystery around it. But as a standalone, it's still great. And I think episode 4 is just my favorite, but 5 is it has all the stuff that you'd want to see, all the kind of like everything ramped up. There's more humor in it, more, I don't know if there's more, but there's more obvious humor, I guess. There's more kind of, it tries to be the first one. I think it kind of did what it did. It was George Lucas's movie and he had a lot of faith in it and it was what he wanted it to be. Was this it wasn't what he wanted it to be, but it had a lot of things. Let's make it humorous. There's people like this, and it had more of those tropes. So it's arguably, obviously, the better movie in that way. And also, the big reveal being his father, all that sort of shit. It's obviously things that make it a better movie. Shot wise as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sorry, I just got distracted by Anon's comment right there. This is one for you. The best Star Wars movie is Attack of the Clones, in my opinion.
I'm going to leave. That's a terrible opinion.
I will defend a bit. Well, you can watch our review on it. I have a lot that I defend with Attack of the Clones. It is not my favorite though, but it's great if it's yours.
It's not good if it's yours.
But yeah, no, I agree with everything you said about Empire.
Sometimes opinions do destroy the world. One person in 2001 had an opinion to kill a load of Americans, and look what that did. So I'm just saying. Sometimes opinions aren't good.
This is true. Not that we're comparing you on to the atrocities that happened in 2001. Although you could argue that Attack of the Clones was an atrocity that happened in 2002.
And it only happened a year later. Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Maybe it was retaliation. They knew they were going to it was a retaliation to episode 1, knowing they were going to do another. They went, fuck this. So they were just hoping George Lucas in one of the towers.
Fucking hell. We're 3 minutes into an Empire Strikes Back review. We're already bringing up 9/11. Christ almighty. But no, I agree with everything you said about Empire in that you can really... Well, I was actually surprised to hear that it got mixed reviews on initial release. A lot of people were really turned off to the much more darker story and the much more, I guess, thought-provoking themes within the film. It is a very different feel to the first film, I think.
How much darker would you say it is, though? Really?
Not massively, but it goes quite introspective with Luke and, with his hand getting cut off, and it's a little bit more violent and desperate, I guess. Well, it is your middle chapter. It's what it should be. The middle chapter should typically in a story arc, is the darkest one where everyone hits their low point and it sets us up for the one to follow. But I was immediately struck, and always have been with Empire Strikes Back, with how different it feels to the first one. I think it's a perfect sequel. It's a perfect follow-up. You, for example, you say you prefer A New Hope. I can totally understand that. We mentioned all the reasons why we think that is. It's very self-contained, A New Hope. You could have ended it there, and it would have been a great standalone film. It's a great sort of send-up of fantasy and like fairy tale storytelling, merging Eastern and Western tropes together to create something new, and all the adventure serials that Lucas obviously grew up with. This one, I think, is just a great sequel, and I think is a great movie. I guess the reason that... So I'm kind of giving the game away now, but my favorite Star Wars movie is the one that we're reviewing next week, Return of the Jedi. I will completely concede that this is the better movie. It's better directed, it's better written, it's better shot, just everything about it. This movie is better. but I always think that the open-ended cliffhanger ending of this one lets it down a little bit, because it almost it's good in that it's a middle chapter and it sets you up for the next one. But if I was just to sit down and watch a Star Wars movie, I feel like either A New Hope or Return of the Jedi are quite self-contained. You can just come straight into it, and it's a beginning, middle, and end. Whereas this one, you get that very abrupt ending, which sets you up for the next one. So I guess that's why I favor Return of the Jedi, because the ending's so good to that movie. I can't wait to watch that next week. I'm really, really excited. HLV says the chest hair and the Miami Vice outfit would have been a great match for this 80s movie. The chest, well, I've got the chest hair. It's being held back by the Sith right now, but the Miami Vice outfit, interesting. Anon says, wasn't Dale trying to sell Obi-Wan an illicit substance in that bar? Were you the Death Sticks guy?
I don't remember doing that, but it sounds like something I would do.
So, did you go home and rethink your life? That's the question.
It sounds like something I would. It just sounds like something I'd employ into that world. I'll go, do you know, it's a cool world, but try some of this, and just, like, it's you know, but. I'm going to say yes, just because I think they need a little pick me up every now and then.
Yeah,
they need to go into that bar, and I do think that canteen scene as well, with the whole, like, because it is just a normal dive bar, really, isn't it? With the whole, like, he doesn't like you, I don't like you either. It's very, so it would work well. It would be great, and it would just be pushed under the radar, and you could see someone's hands just slide it like that. You know, a very sort of much better version of Dexter's Diner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got Travis, who says, how's it going? I agree with Return of the Jedi being my favorite as well. It has the best first and third acts of the original movies, in my opinion. Yeah, I totally agree. So I've seen a lot of people be very negative on Return of the Jedi. You're one of those, but you have some hot takes, which I do not agree with, sir, at all. If you mention The Last Crusade one more time, we're going to have a fight on camera. It's going to happen. But people say that the writing makes no sense at the beginning of Return of the Jedi. Like, they don't know what the plan was. Was Luke just winging it and everything just kind of worked its way out? I can totally get that. And when you break the writing down, it's like, yeah, this really doesn't make sense. I don't care. You know, say what you want about the whole Boba Fett thing, that it's quite slapsticky. Yeah, it is. Maybe he should have had like a better ending in that movie. But I love the creativity. I love the puppetry, the Rancor, the look of Jabba the Hutt himself is astounding.
The issue I had was because of the Ewok battle up against Darth Vader and Luke. It felt like it was trying to accomplish I wouldn't say episode 4 was kiddie, but, you know, the lighter humor side with the darker, and it went, let's just put them two together, split episode 4, and it just, I don't know, but I'll comment on that next week. But still, it was a bit, I don't know.
Yeah, I think whether you like the Ewoks or not, when it comes to Return of the Jedi, I think you either have to be over a certain threshold of an age and you'll probably hate them, or if you were just like sort of like within the age group where you found them funny or found them cute or adorable or whatnot, you're going to like them and you'll always grow up liking them. I fall into the camp of liking the Ewoks, but I can understand why someone who likes the original, and especially Empire Strikes Back, setting it up on a very, very dark, serious path. Still has jokes in there, though. It doesn't go too, up itself and too overly serious. But I can understand why a lot might not like the whole kid-friendly Ewok thing. So I totally get it. I guess the comparison would be like the Gungans, and, myself, I was 6 years old when I saw Phantom Menace. That's our equivalent. I don't mind Jar Jar Binks, but I can totally understand why, diehard fans of the original would absolutely fucking hate him. Carl says, I always felt Revenge of the Sith missed an opportunity where Luke says something very familiar about this place in Empire, to see Yoda take Luke to Dagobah at the end of episode 3 to hide out. That's really interesting. Yeah, because I completely forgot about that line. And watching it again today, when he says there's something really familiar about this place. That's never really paid off, is it? Because he never mentions about seeing it in a vision. He only gets tipped off to go there by the Force Ghost of Obi-Wan on Hoth when Luke's, passing out from exposure. That's a great point. I love that. That's now in my head canon. I wish that was a thing. I'm going to have words with JX about that and see if we can sort something out. Travis says, I enjoy Empire, but for a while there was a toxic pedestal it was put on where it was the definitive best one, and you were wrong if you disagreed. So I naturally resisted it for that. Yeah, I think this often gets, well, not even just in terms of Star Wars movies, but definitely in terms of best sequels out there. And I think if you put it in a list of best sequels, absolutely. But yeah, I think Empire has always had that oh god, what is it? What do you say? Something precedes itself. Reputation. It has always had that very, very lofty reputation, and personally, after watching it tonight, I think quite rightly so. I was going to ask you this: have you ever seen it on the big screen before, or has all of these been a first time for you with the originals?
I'm trying to remember which ones I've seen on the big screen. I've seen episode 1 on the big screen countless times. I've seen episode 3 on the big screen 3 times, something like that. I swear I saw one of them. I don't remember which one though. I think I've seen Return of the Jedi on the big screen.
Right.
So yeah, I think this would be the first for me that I've seen this on the big screen. It's still great, and I agree with that. In the whole, it was kind of I don't know if taboo is the right word, but I'm going to use taboo. Taboo for you not to say this was your favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't agree with that because once I'd seen all of them, that was first opinion would have been, oh, that was my favorite for when I saw them. Because I was like, oh, that's the bit, and it was the one that stuck out. And then as time went on, I just kept remembering 4, and then that became a favorite. It's kind of like when you watch 2 of anything, though. Like if you like them both, because you see the second one last, you think, oh, that's my favorite, and then you kind of, it kind of whittles in your brain. And that's what episode 5 was. So yeah, I do agree with that. But yeah, I do think with this, it kind of went in terms of movies, went like that, and then Return the Jedi went a little bit. Not because I'm saying it's a bad movie, just because, like you said, it's the better movie, this one. And regardless what bits are, having some big reveal or plot points, it has a not a mainstream plot, but a plot that you'd recognize, a plot of, we're going to do this, there's a bit of mystery, so let's solve this problem. Oh, there's a big thing, then there's a cliffhanger. It has all those things put in it, so it's a really well put together movie.
Yeah, I think I don't want to talk too much about Return of the Jedi because I know we're saving that till next week, but Return of the Jedi has a second act problem, which I will acknowledge. You could argue
and
that
a first act problem.
Luke gets a character arc, gets a character journey in that, but Han Solo and Leia, not so much. They kind of just stand near a door for most of the third act, trying to get it open, and that's basically it. So I totally see that. And when they get to the Ewok camp, the film kind of does grind a little bit. I still enjoy it. I still very much enjoy it. You get the great speeder chase in there too during all of that scene. Whereas this one, Empire, every scene I think about, I'm like, oh yeah, that scene's fantastic. The Hoth opener, fucking incredible. The stop motion animation on the AT-AT walkers and just how everything's shot. The fact that it's on location, you've got the people in the trenches, like proper ground assault is great. Then you got the asteroid chase, and you got the bit where they're in the worm in the cave, and then Dagobah and Bespin and the whole ending fight. Every single scene I think of is like, that's fantastic, that's fantastic, that's fantastic. And I think for that reason alone, this is, I think, the best Star Wars movie when I look at it like that. And I love that it took all those themes, and just in terms of the direction, the way the camera moves, the cinematography, everything's much more ramped up from the first movie, I think. Not to take anything away from the original Star Wars movie, the cinematography in that is amazing, but I just feel there's more of a kinetic movement with the camera in this one.
I can't help but watch anything with asteroid belts and stare at the screen and go, that's not a thing. Because asteroid belts aren't like, they exist, but like they're so far apart, you never get stuck in an asteroid belt. And every time I'm like, that's not a thing. They don't exist. Every single time, no matter what it is, I can't help it now.
But this is a different galaxy, though. Anything could exist in this galaxy.
It could. Are you saying there's no gravity in this galaxy?
Fair point.
So, like, technically, all I'm saying is it's going to be the same thing. So, all I'm saying, that's not realistic.
I'm going to tell you the one thing that really annoys me in this film, and it's always annoyed me, and it still annoyed me tonight, and I get why they would have put it in. It's kind of like a bit of set dressing. I hate that it completely shatters my disbelief when they get to Dagobah and Luke goes into the dark side cave, and you've got real world pythons, snakes, iguanas and stuff walking around. I'm like, couldn't you just made up like a little alien puppet of like a snake-like creature just moving? I look at it and go, that's a real, like a monitor lizard. That's a real world creature.
I don't like the cave scene at all. I do not like the cave scene at all.
Hot take.
I think it's not out of place would be wrong to say. I wouldn't say it feels out of place, but it's kind of like if you have a flashback in a TV series where there are no flashbacks, well, just once you go, here's a flashback. It just feels a little bit like with the kind of story it is, it works, but it just feels like it's the only one. It's standalone, and do you get what I mean? It's very. It just doesn't feel like it feels very extreme when he sees his when Luke sees his face in the mask. Cool, but it just feels if that was in the prequels, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that it could kind of fit it, but in the originals, it feels a little bit. I don't want to say out of place because it doesn't feel out of place, but a little bit kind of like I think it could have been done better. Really do.
I completely disagree with you there. I think the cave scene is one of the best things. I think it's completely necessary, especially for the middle chapter. It's Luke confronting the darkness within himself. It's a classic part of the hero's journey. The fact that he goes into the cave and he has to look inward, like it's beautifully exemplified by Yoda before he goes in. Luke's fastening his belt, and Yoda's like, "Your weapons, you won't need them." And he says, like, "What's inside? Only what you take in with you." I love that, and he's taken everything that's up here and all the doubts and fears that he's got. And I think that the scene functions in a lot of ways. It sets us up for the dramatic reveal at the end, the twist ending with "I am your father." So it shows that there is that familial connection there. It sets us up for Luke could potentially go down this dark path if he does turn to the dark side. There's loads of moments like that in his training where he asks Yoda, he says, like, "Is the dark side stronger?" And Yoda's quick. He's like, no, like, for God's sake, no, don't go down that path. He's impulsive, he's reckless. He leaves to go and save his friends, and Obi-Wan and Yoda are like, "Don't go, like this is feeding into the plan of the dark side." So I think it fills a number of functions, and I think when you look at the original trilogy as a whole, that cave scene is crucial for all the stuff that we get in Return of the Jedi. And it's beautifully capped off in that where he's wailing on Vader, cuts his hand off, and then he looks down at his own robotic hand, and he's going down that same path too. So I will totally disagree with you on that cave scene.
I don't know. I've just never. I just thought it was very video gamey. Very here's a boss battle. You know,
the themes, man. You got to look at the themes. It's not just because it's a fight. There's a point.
Yeah, I know.
There's a point.
But it just to me feels like it could have been handled a little bit differently. I just don't love it. I get why it was done, and I agree with the scene. I just think it could have been done better. I didn't love his face showing up.
How would you have done it?
I don't know. No, I don't.
Put your money where your mouth is, man. How would you have done it?
The thing is, it's not that it's awful. It's just I don't like his face being in the mask. Realistically, I think it's maybe it's just because like I've never watched the originals without the prequels existing, and in a way, I mean I have obviously, but like from episode 1, but like it's always been there's more around it rather than sort of I'm waiting for Return of the Jedi. Maybe that might have an influence on it, but I don't know. It just feels very like it could have been in the prequels, and this is it. I don't know. Like I wouldn't have had that in his mask. I would have just had more implied stuff. Whereas I think the thing we got, I think that makes the originals a lot better as well than the prequels is the prequels. By the time they came out in the early 2000s and late 90s, it was CGI was everything. CGI was huge, and they were able to show a lot. The originals didn't have to show a lot. Same with the Wampa. They didn't have to show that in the original. That was cool. And I feel like them showing him in the mask was kind of like a showing something. It's like, didn't need to show it. You could have implied it better. I don't know. I just think there was some bits that were just a little bit showy in that.
I think there's an argument there for the whole Wampa scene with the change there. Like, I guess
didn't need to see the Wampa.
Yeah, in the original, I guess it's more like the Jaws effect. The less you see of the shark, the less you see of the monster, the more intimidating it is because you're not quite sure where it is. But I don't know. I quite like the additional Wampa scenes. I think maybe it probably is a lot of it is that I grew up with the special edition and I always had the Wampa there, so that when I did watch the theatrical versions and it kind of cuts around it and you get the kind of like awkward moving on a machine thing where you just see the arm moving, it felt weird not to see the Wampa at that point. And plus I think that the costume in the special edition, I think it's a really cool design. Probably doesn't 100% line up with the original design of the Wampa, which is also in the same movie. But yeah, we were talking about this. I think out of all the special editions, this one comes out the most unscathed. All the cleanup and stuff on the audio, some of the transitions in the soundtrack are better, I think, in this one. The stuff on Cloud City, I really like. I think it opens the city up a lot more. In the original, it's quite enclosed, claustrophobic, clinical corridors that they're running down.
Yep.
Whereas now we've got a little bit of, the sky.
It does look like a hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like a fucking hospital, doesn't it, in the original? And it does open up city. When you see the residents as well, it shows it's a city rather than... Because in the 1980 one, it feels like it's just like a base. It's just a little base. It's got a couple of buildings. Whereas this, it's actually, inhabited by people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the changes that are in it, I don't really disagree with too many of them, but the Wampa I could do without seeing the Wampa. It was I like the imagery of that whole, like, I know this isn't how it was shot, but if they want to add any sort of things, like if Luke was walking back and he saw the shadow of the Wampa, more of an implied, and I think that would go well because it would add a horror kind of element of we don't know what this beast looks like. But yeah, I mean, I do think none of the changes in this, like, none of them are something there's no changes in this movie that I look at and go, that's terrible. That just ruins it. Not a single one, which is really good.
There's a few for me, but it's not like the rage that I get from that Jabba the Hutt scene in A New Hope. It's not like the Jedi Rock scene or
Anakin.
Or the Anakin Force Ghost. There's nothing like that within this film.
Anakin Force Ghost probably ruins it.
A lot of the changes are kind of negligible in this one. There's certain lines of dialogue that get changed. There's the bit where the monster in the water spits out R2-D2 on Dagobah, and the original line was, "You were lucky you don't taste good," and then that's changed to, "You were lucky to get out of there," and it's okay. So I don't really have an opinion on this change, but just why? Just kind of confusion. I always keep thinking, like, did George Lucas keep himself awake at night for all of those decades, thinking like, oh my God, I can't believe I put that line in. I need to change it.
Oh, actually, speaking of changes, Emperor's face, didn't love it. Only because it works with continuity wise. It's the same Emperor. That's cool, but you can see his face.
Yeah.
In episode 6, you can see his face. It's quite dark. It's quite, in this, it's very sort of, it's there. And the whole point was it's supposed to be covered. He's supposed to be mysterious, and he did not look mysterious in it at all. That's one thing. That is one thing.
I appreciate, like, if you're going to go back and like change bits in the film to make them line up a little bit more, I completely understand wanting to go in and remove Clive Revel and get Ian McDiarmid in there. When these special edition changes were made, I think it was around 2004. So Revenge of the Sith was out? No, 2005 that was, wasn't it?
I think it was an 2005 change, actually. I think it was, because that would add up with Hayden Christensen in Return of the Jedi, wouldn't it?
No, so the original, like, 97 special edition still had the original Clive Revel.
That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't until the 2004.
Because 2005 was when Revenge of the Sith came out, and if they all got edited in 2005, put in the Hayden Christensen Force Ghost, what I'm saying is that sounds...
No, that special edition came out in 2004. But they would have been filming it still in 2004, wouldn't they? Setting up for the following year. So they probably had Ian McDiarmid around, like, hey, do you mind being in this? We're going to shoot you for Empire Strikes Back. So I like that they get Ian McDiarmid back in. The design is how the Emperor looks in Revenge of the Sith, though, and that's a problem because it doesn't line up with how he looks in Return of the Jedi. And also, I completely agree with you. At this point, in A New Hope, we get a mention of the Emperor. This one, you're meant to get, like, the original Clive Revel one. He's shrouded in shadow, and the voice is very mysterious. And yeah, we see him, but it's still super mysterious and enigmatic. And then you get your proper reveal of him in Return of the Jedi. This one, he is front and center. He's got the spotlight on his face. There's no hood over his face. You see everything. So I do think it spoils that reveal.
What do you think the Emperor does when he's not, like, chatting on Skype to Darth Vader? Like, as soon as he leaves it and he put his feet up and go, oh, fucking hell.
He's got to deal with paperwork. He's got, he's got other business coming in.
Yeah, he gets people coming and he's like, I've just had a meeting. What do you want? Like,
do you think he regrets working his way up to Emperor some days? Just like, oh, I liked it when I was just a lowly senator. Like,
yeah, do you ever think, like, he wakes up, it's like 8:30 in the morning, he's got, like, Discord or something open on his phone going, I need to text Vader. Fucking hell, right? Yeah. You need to get to the office, right? It's 9:02.
Teams meeting.
Yeah.
He's got to host a Teams call.
Yeah, he's like, fucking hell. And he's off the phone. He's like, I've still got fucking loads of paperwork, dude. What do I do?
He's got to do some Jedi training, like Jedi training, Sith training, lightsaber combat from 3 till 5.
Exactly.
He's got to keep on top of that.
You know, do you ever think there's a time where he's got the out of office message? Like, he gets hollering and just says out of office. He's like, fucking hell. What do we do? Well, you have to make do without me. And then he takes, like, a trip to, like, some, like, opposite to Hoth, some, like, tropical planet. And he's there just like, what do you want on my holiday? Like,
I want Palpatine to go to, like the things where they have like a ribbon and someone cuts it with some scissors. Like they've just begun construction on the second Death Star for the next movie. It's like, I declare this construction open. Yeah. I really want
Still don't understand how they got the name Death Star past planning. Really don't.
Well, can we talk about how fast they build the second Death Star? Because how long did it take them to build the original one?
Oh, yeah, because it wasn't even
we see it
because the laser wasn't actually. It was working, but it was.
That's when the thing's implemented.
We don't count Rogue One; it's not a thing. What I'm saying is, by Episode 4, that's what is it? 20 years? 20 years, isn't it?
Yeah, just under 20 years, 19. But we see it being constructed at the very end of Revenge of the Sith.
So, but what I mean is the actual like just laser is said to not be like it's not operable. Obviously, I know it is, but it's said to not be. So the point is, they would have just made it operable. So it took them at least 20 years. So the fact it was operable, how long between 5 and 6? A year? Is it?
Yes,
year? It's a year, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah. That's. And what did they use to get?
Well,
that
it would be 4 years total, wouldn't it? Because I think it's 3 years between A New Hope and Empire, and then a year. So in 4 years, they built a second Death Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see how many pieces the Lego one is as well?
Yeah.
So times that by X amount, like it's going to take a long time. But what do they use to make the space laser? I did find out once, but what did they use?
I want to say it's kyber crystals, but I don't think it is.
I also found out how much it would cost to build a Death Star. We'd have enough money on the planet.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Elon Musk one day maybe
he'll make the
when
Death
he gets bored.
You cannot get that name past planning. I'm telling you, you cannot call something the Death Star and people go, "Yeah, it's cool." Like, what's that? It's like, it's just Death Star. It's fine. It won't kill us.
I don't think it was called the Death. I think did we mention this in the
calls it the Death Star though? He says the Death Star is, but they destroyed the one who destroyed the Death Star. That wasn't in the original, was it? That was only in an edit, I think. I don't.
Yeah, that wasn't in the original.
So George just fucked himself really. So the point is now it's canon that they even called it the Death Star, and that's the official name. So
that's a problem.
That is a big problem. Remember when there were? Do you remember the COVID tanks?
Yes.
Yeah, when they were, and they said COVID, and people are like, cool. If they said death tanks, that wouldn't just be like speculation. People would be like, no.
Well, it's like death sticks, the drug,
But there's a reason. But if drugs are going to be illegal regardless, right? So you can call them death sticks. That's fine. It's like Jeffrey Dahmer can talk about how he wants to eat people because he knows it's illegal and people already know it for that. This is supposed to be the empire that runs the world and it's politically correct.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that. It's just it's the biggest plot hole I found in Star Wars, and it keeps me up at night.
Let's get to some comments because they've been coming in. So Anon says, the prequels my childhood, so they're more pronounced in my mind than the originals. That's fair enough.
I do know a lot of people that have said that, especially when I was younger. Like I see it, I agree, and I agree with a lot of it in the sense of I really think we see Darth Vader and all Jedi and everything like their powers what they should be, rather than in 4, 5, and 6 where they're a bit like But yeah, so like I do get all that, and there's definitely elements of the prequels, small elements, but there's definitely elements where I think, you know what, that could have carried over into 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Oh, the prequels we could have got. I still have acceptance for them, but yeah. Travis says each of the original films has their lag point. The original is the droids wandering the desert. Return is when they're walking around the woods, but Empire lags in all of its storylines, I think. Ooh. I thought you were the hot take guy, but Travis in the comments right now.
I mean,
I don't think it lags at all. I think it's
very well paced. I don't think there's a point where you think, can we get on with this? I don't think there is. I do think it is important though in every story to have a point where you think, can we get on with this? I do think it's important because characters need their downtime. You know, you can have so much action and so much, do this, and it's like, sometimes you just need them to breathe. You need them to sit down, and that's like the bar scene. And that, to me, that was downtime. You had the music and it played, and for a couple of minutes, to them hours, obviously, but for a little bit, it didn't. I'm not saying it felt safe for them. That's not what they need, but just calm. They can have a drink. They can sit there like this when they had in Cloud City when Leia, obviously she dressed up differently. Obviously they took care of them. It was nice to have. It's nice when characters get that downtime.
Yeah.
So it is needed, but I don't think there is a lot of that in this where you go, can we get on with it? It's quite, you get that next bit, you get that the next bit, and I think it's paced perfectly.
Yeah. The big thing is as well is sort of splitting the characters up as well. You often get that with the middle chapter where characters will divide up.
You need that really, don't you?
I think the issue, because I was thinking about that when comparing this. Oh God, I've got to bring it up. Sorry. The Last Jedi. Ugh, rip that band-aid off.
I don't know what that is.
When you got to episode 9, they were really trying to catch you up with the banter between all these characters. Like, these characters had spent like an extended period of time together. You at least open with all the characters together. Immediately in Hoth, you get that camaraderie, just how far the friendships have come over all these years. Luke's in like mortal danger outside, dying from exposure, and Han's like, right, I'm going out there after my friend, and that's so great. And then you get that budding relationship, sort of like frenemy kind of thing, you know, that bickering back and forth romantic banter between Leia and Han, which is fantastic. Really great chemistry between those two. And you just feel like the characters are just closer as a whole, but then you divide them up and they all go on their, you know, separate ways, but then get back together. And you don't really get that at any point in the sequel trilogy at all. You kind of set Rey and Finn up together, and then you had like a little bit of Poe and Finn together, and then Poe was meant to die, and then they just kind of retconned him back in later on in the movie really awkwardly. And then like Finn and Rey had a kind of unspoken connection.
Then they brought a random Asian girl, then decided not to.
Yeah, then you just have Rose Tico, and then try and crowbar like an awkward relationship to them, which just felt wildly out of place. Rey's kind of off on her own. Poe's just whatever the fuck Poe does in the second movie. And then you try and put them all together and make it like really emotional that these characters love each other.
Poe was that much forgettable character. Like, I know who he is, obviously, but every time I think to him, I'm like, can't really picture him doing much aside from he's walking over there, then he's in a ship, then I'm like, what else did he do?
Yeah.
Like, he was...
Poe literally meets Rey in the final scene of the second movie. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't even want to give the sequels the time of day, actually. Let's just move on. We got Mythic Dawn says, good evening, Munchkins. Speaking of Munchkins, we got the trailer for Wicked again today.
Oh, that was brilliant. It's good. It's good 2 minutes.
I feel like we've got that trailer at least 3 or 4 times now.
We're going to get it again and again.
Yeah,
we're a happy man when it comes out next month. November next month. It's almost Christmas.
Oh God, don't. Where is this year gone? We're in the futuristic year of 2025.
We'll be dead soon.
You'll be dead. Travis says, I think Empire doesn't really come fully alive until Lando shows up. Up until then, everything is good, but it's slow sections. Ooh. No, you're missing out all the Yoda stuff, man, and Hoth and all the cool Vader stuff.
I do really like Lando's character. I do really like him.
Great addition.
He's used where he's needed as well. Like, he's not this overly used character, and that's good. He's not meant to be, and then he becomes their friend and everything. Like, by I think he's a great character.
But again, I like how Leia's Han says that, you know, I don't trust him, but he's a friend. He's kind of, we're in up shit creek right now. We need a safe haven, and I know this guy. Let's just head there. But right from the get-go, Leia's kind of switched on, and she's like, something doesn't feel right almost immediately. You know, I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this whole setup. Something feels off. But yeah, like,
because he's black or anything.
No,
Okay.
I was going to say, like, do you remember when films could be inclusive and cool without like drawing massive attention to it, and they just did it because it was cool, and and you know, everyone's saying like, oh, Star Wars fans are racist. It's like, we haven't been racist at all because we like welcomed Lando and Mace Windu and other characters in with open arms because they're fucking great.
It's mad because it's just like, it's because it's America, which is dominated by white people, so of course it's going to be majority white people in it. It's like, if this was an African movie, I wouldn't expect them all to be white.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
If they're all white, I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, it wouldn't make sense. It's like, have you seen I don't watch Doctor Who, but the new Doctor, isn't he like a gay black man as well? And it's like, well, why? Like, just to tick all the boxes, and it's just
right before they announced the new Doctor, because I mean, they had a female Doctor before, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it's like, we're going to get a new Doctor. You could probably guess, just like, oh, let me guess, he's going to be a gay black man. It's like, oh yeah, you got it right. Yeah,
cool. It was. I know. I don't follow Doctor Who, but I do look at who's playing the new one every now and then, because they have been played by good actors. But
yeah. Let's see. Anon says, have you seen Al Fox's recent video, Obi-Wan Loves Death Sticks? I haven't seen that. Travis says the movie makes a bold choice of introducing a new lead, not only in the second film of the trilogy, but the second half of it. Lando takes the lead, making all the calls, saving everyone, which pays off. Yeah, no, we love Lando here. Lando's fucking great.
I don't think he's made as a main character, though. What I would argue is, I wouldn't say Han is made as a main character, but because they're separate, I would argue he's playing a big importance. He's kind of doing a sacrifice, and that's really good. And we get, because otherwise it would just become the Luke Skywalker story, which I know it is, but it delves into other characters. And every now and then you need that. You need a not a break, but it's kind of like when I say you need downtime. Like if you don't have it, I'm not saying it becomes a bad story, but it makes it more immersive. You know, if you go to like a bar, like they went to in Mos Eisley, the fact that they found Han Solo, he was just there, he was just a character, it was just, you know, like it's just who they met. It made the world more inhabitable. It's like, oh, there's a bar, then there's these characters, and we don't even need the fact that they go to Jabba's palace and have to save Han and all that. I know but if it didn't happen, the background of Han was still explained enough. It's like, oh, he's just a smuggler. He does this. Like, I think it makes it more immersive having that, and I think that was a really good choice separating them.
Well, I was going to say, what do you think to the original idea that Harrison Ford was kind of done with the character? He felt the character had come as far as he could, and he wanted to be killed off in that scene where he gets loaded into carbonite. Do you think it would have been a better decision to kill Han in this movie, or do you like that they kept him alive?
But do you mean if it was shot the same, or actually have a death scene properly, like actually shoot it differently?
Yeah, if they made the decision like, yeah, Han is dying in this movie, and that's where he would have died, but obviously they would have probably made it a bit more emotional.
Yeah, I mean, final. Yes, but you'd need more of him in that movie because he does a whole sacrifice and stuff enough that it warrants him to come back. I think if they just killed him off there and then, it would have been the whole like, yeah, but we were just getting into him. You know, like because he not takes over in this movie, but he explores a lot. There's a lot of banter. There's a relationship between him and Leia, and that starts getting explored. Then to kill him off, it'd be like, we would, which is what I like about death scenes. Sometimes I do like the fact it's like, well, that's what death is. It's sometimes supposed to be tragic. You could meet someone tomorrow and think, oh, this person's really cool. You can meet a girl, be like, oh, I'll go on a date tomorrow. She gets hit by a bus. It could happen. Point is, that's how death works. So, you know, I do like it when things do that. You start to kind of explore him, and I do think that's cool. But it would be a good end line when she says "I love you" and he goes, "I know." That would have been cool.
Yeah,
like, yeah, cool. Yeah. Do you know, that's fine. So mixed feelings on it.
But I'm glad they kept him alive. To be honest, I like that whole. There's still, you know, things are shit right now. Things are pretty bad, but there's hope. We've got a shot at getting him back, and we're going to try and rescue him. Like that. But the thing is, they just don't do much with Han's character in the third and final movie.
The thing that they do with Return of the Jedi, though, like I said before, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say kiddie stuff, but a lot of, you know, like Luke becomes a Jedi. It's kind of like, that's what we want to see. Cool. They save Han and they give you Jabba the Hutt. It's all very sort of like, oh, monster, this is what you guys wanted to see. It's all very that in a way. And it's not bad. It's just, I think, one of the weaker points because we've been setting up for things. And I just think there's more we should have seen that we didn't see.
Well, I think it's just Han and Leia don't really do much in Return of the Jedi. Like, the focus of that is on Luke, and Luke's journey in that movie is fucking outstanding. Like, the whole ending with the Emperor invading. Yeah, it's my favorite lightsaber out of the entire saga. Absolutely adored it, always have. I like the opener. I like that it's sort of like almost like a Bond little cold opener, like the little action scene. You get some cool puppets and everything. Rescue Han, great, let's get on the adventure. And then we just kind of chill with Ewoks for the second act. But then you get the fucking outstanding final confrontation and the space battle and everything comes to a head. So, yeah, from one of the earlier comments, great opening first act, in my opinion, great closing act. Unfortunately, it's just kind of that middle low point with Return of the Jedi, but it is still my favorite one.
Do you think as well, like in episode 6, you know, when the Emperor dies and he gets held by Darth Vader, he's probably there, like I say, thinking, like, he got up that morning and just think, I didn't think this was going to happen. Like, he took his slippers off and was just like, this is not what I expected today.
It just freeze frames, like, my name is Sheev. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Yeah, and he's there, like, just about to, like, have a shower and just be like, it's like, this is not where I wanted to be today. I should have just stayed in bed. If I had made that decision, this would not have happened.
Yeah. God damn. Right. Travis says, one way to look at it is the cave is meant to embody the fear of anyone, no matter what galaxy they're from. So earthly things can appear as it pertains to the audience watching. Oh, interesting. I mean, you do see snakes sort of hanging around Dagobah anyway, like in Yoda's house. So I don't know how true that is. To me, it's just kind of set dressing. It's like in the original Wizard of Oz movie. In the forest, everyone thinks it's hanging Munchkin, but it's actually they got like emus and ostriches on set, like big birds, and just in the background to fill it out a little bit so it looks lived in.
Wizard of Oz denied hanging Munchkin, but they didn't deny using asbestos to poison people whilst doing the movie.
It's like fucking lead paint and doping up Toto. Yeah, that movie's fucked. Real lion skin for the outfit of the Cowardly Lion. Jesus Christ. We got Brinsley says, "Sup, lads? How you doing, man?"
Brinsley a place?
There's Barnsley.
Swears a place.
It's Bridlington. I don't know about Brinsley.
Hmm.
Mythic Dawn says, can we talk about how cute Yoda is when he's crawling around and propelling Luke's camp gear around? Yeah, he's kind of like just like he's like sticking his ass out a little bit out of the.
I can't not watch that and like sing seagulls in my head.
Yeah, I was thinking about
it's
that.
It's like
too.
when he goes, "You will be." In my head, it's always "Don't fall asleep." Every time, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just can't unsee it.
And the bit where he's walking around with a stick like,
yeah,
yeah.
I just can't, but it makes it so much better. It's so great.
One of my favorite shots. I mean, this has been used. Well, it's used in Seagulls. It's been used in loads of memes. It's the bit where Yoda's eyes go really bulbous, and he's like, "Concentrate!" And before he falls like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I haven't watched that video in so long. But yeah, Yoda. Let's talk about Yoda. So, really, really bold introducing a character like this. This could have gone horribly wrong. Because we meet this little fruity little green frog-like character that shows up. Here's Baby Yoda right there, which I bought when I was still a fan of The Mandalorian. And yeah, he's kind of crazy, and he's speaking backwards, and he's being all slapsticky and whatnot. And you're thinking, oh God, what are we going to do? But that's the beauty of it is that was all an act, and then he snaps into serious Yoda mode right after that. And we learn with Luke, which is what I really like. I always like when, and I've always mentioned this, I think it's really strong writing when a character doesn't know this world or is learning something, and we're learning things about it as the audience along with the character. So Luke's asking questions about the Force, and it's building on what we know from the Force from A New Hope. And we're learning new things and the way of training and everything, and just how deep and spiritual the Force goes. And honestly, all the Yoda life lessons and stuff, I still carry with me to this day. The whole "do or do not, there is no try." I quote that all the time.
I used to send that to people at work if they were having a shit day.
Yeah,
I literally just send a text of like to people at work.
That's awesome.
If they'd be like, "I'm trying," I'd just send that straight. It would always work as well. Yoda was great.
But my favorite quote is, and the one that hits hard for me, is where Luke says, "I don't believe it," and Yoda says, "That is why you fail." Like that has always hit hard for me. And the whole lifting of the X-Wing, this is like the whole power ability thing, because at this point, Yoda lifting that X-Wing out of the swamp is meant to be the most impressive feat of using the Force we've ever seen.
Unleashed.
And then Force Unleashed, and then the prequels, and you've got Palpatine yeeting literally the Senate. So I threw the Senate at him, the whole Senate, and he's just throwing pods at Yoda, and Yoda's catching him, and he's spinning him, and he's throwing him back, and we're doing all this crazy shit on Mustafar and whatnot.
I still stand by, between the two of them, that's warranted. Between those two only, though.
Do you think, though, because if you do watch them in sequence, though, which is what they're intended to be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, they're not. They cannot be, though.
You see Yoda lifting the X-Wing out, and you're like, oh, well, that doesn't impress me now, because I've seen him do all this cool shit before.
4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3. Like, I've never watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 before until this time.
Yeah,
like, it's always been 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. But it's warranted with the two of them. It's kind of like you don't see Yoda with a lightsaber in 4, 5, and 6 because it feels like he doesn't need one, does he? He's kind of like he's really old. He's he was whatever. In 1, 2, and 3, we already said it ruins it seeing him use lightsaber in 2. Seeing it in 3 versus Palpatine, that's great. And I think those two can have an exception to how powerful they are.
Yeah.
But they need a small exception. They're like 2 and 3 did overuse Yoda with his lightsaber and that sort of stuff. But I think at the end, I think that works.
Well, I think it's just that escalation as films go. It's like, oh, we did this the last movie. Well, we've got to up the ante with the next one. And then, unfortunately, that's kind of a domino effect with every other movie you make after that point, where, you kind of get... It's like with Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I've never seen it, but I know the whole, like, power levels is a thing, right? Is that the over 9,000 thing? Is that Dragon Ball Z? At that point, with like, oh my god, his power level is over 9,000. Now it's in the trillions or something, isn't it? Because every series had to.
I agree. Even though Dragon Ball is like one of my favorite things ever. It's like you have your main characters, and you have a villain, and then essentially they are so strong. Then a new villain comes on that's stronger, so then they get a new form. They go, let's go Super Saiyan. Okay, well, we've now got Super Saiyan 2. Now we've got Super Saiyan 3. Now we're going to become a god. Now there's it. Like essentially, yes, that is that. But it is one of my favorite things ever. So I can't say a bad thing against it. But essentially, yes, it's like you're more powerful, right? What are we going to do? Oh, we're going to change the color of his hair. Now he's even more powerful. Sick.
Yeah.
But the newest form had purple hair, and I like that, and that's my favorite.
But just everything to do with Yoda in this is great. I love that he's a puppet, and I don't want to harp on the CGI stuff from the prequels, but I'm about to hype on the CGI. Watching this movie again, you mentioned this too, reaffirmed to me. I was looking at like the hangar bay on Hoth, like the Rebel base, Echo base, and all the ships are there. And everything's built, and you got all the costumes, and everything's practical. Everything looks so fucking good. You've got matte paintings, and yeah, is there some shaky like stop motion animation? Yeah, maybe, but it all looks great. Honestly, watching this on the big screen tonight, I know it's been cleaned up and stuff with the special edition, but inherently everything's still there. I'm amazed how ahead of the time it was. This coming out in 1980, this still looks outstanding by today's standards. Probably even better than today's standards, in my opinion, because there is so much real stuff there with the models and the ingenuity behind it all. Even if there are some shortcomings, even if some of like the compositing is a little bit wavy and a little bit hazy, I still appreciate what they try and do so much more, and there's so much more heart to it. Looking at Puppet Yoda as well, and then my mind was kind of going to the bit where you've got Mace, Hoverchair Yoda, and Obi-Wan walking through the Jedi Temple, green screen background in Attack of the Clones, and some other scenes too. I mean, the prequels do a lot of stuff right, and they did build a lot of stuff, but just visually, I'm like, this just feels so tangible and so real. Everything feels kind of like mucky and dirty, and there's gears and wheels, like when they're fixing stuff on the Falcon. You know, it really did make the difference to me, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me though is always how much they use the Force in the prequels. They use it so much, and I do get it, but yeah, it does honestly, like you said, it makes it quite lackluster in the new ones in 4, 5, and 6. You know, it makes it quite lackluster and says, like you say, that's not impressive anymore. So yeah, it's weird, isn't it, when you bring up part of it this long before and the first story. But I guess it's kind of like, yeah, when they're in their prime. But then you also say in Rogue One that came literally the end of Rogue One was 10 seconds before the beginning of Episode 4, and Darth Vader's going mad, and then suddenly he's
inconsistencies. Well, speaking of inconsistencies, you've got the stuff we've mentioned a few, but like Obi-Wan, where he says, "There you will find Yoda, the Jedi Master who instructed me," and then later on where Yoda's like, he is too old, or he is reckless, and he goes, "So was I when you trained me," and you know those bits. And then it's like, well, no, because Qui-Gon actually trained him, and I guess we have to retcon it now and say, well, Yoda would have trained Obi-Wan when he was a youngling, but then
he trained all the younglings.
It's like that clearly wasn't the original idea, but yes, there we go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Travis says, whenever the Tauntaun gets cut open, it reminds me of the inside of tater tots.
Yeah, I did think that. Not that actual comparison, but it's weird, isn't it? It's like what does it remind me of? Because it's like translucent white.
Yeah.
What does it? I don't know what it reminds me of, but it's like, yeah.
Do tater tots smell bad?
Aren't tater tots just like? Aren't they just square potatoes?
I think so. Yeah. Do we get them in this country, or like an equivalent?
Yeah, we do. They're like. They look like
Hot Pockets, or what they're called.
No, they look like little turds, but like covered in potato skin.
Oh, that makes it better then.
And I'm not a big fan of potato anyway, so
I'll just poke a jacket potato full of shit then. There you go. Nice. Carl says, what do you think the cave actually is? What is it on Dagobah? Well, I guess Yoda says it's strong in the dark side, so I guess that Dagobah is a planet that is teeming with life. But I think there are always going to be spots of like a dark side nexus. And unfortunately, I'm going to bring this up again. The Last Jedi, well, it completely tries to harp on this movie, doesn't it? Let's be honest. It's like all of Empire Strikes Back. Then you've got the throne room from Return of the Jedi. And then it ends with Hoth again at the end. but then you've got like the cave on that island, which is a dark side nexus. So I'm guessing places just kind of have sort of like little pockets.
Do you know what they would have done? They would have done if this was in episode 8 or 9. What they would have done is made the cave would have been a place that Jedi come to train. It would have been a mystical sort of, they like Yoda might like he engulfed it with like the Force, and it's a place where Jedi go to train. It's actually another dimension. That's what they would have
done. Anon says, is fear, anger, hate, and suffering really the dark side, or just a normal part of everyday life?
That, do you know what? I absolutely love that line. I know it's obviously in episode 1, but I love that line. And you know, it's like, you know, fear, anger, the actual words that are said, and that was in 1999. Now, in Final Fantasy 9, which came out a year later, they right before the last boss, that literally he says to you, fear least anger, anger least, and I was like, what? And it's the word for word. I was like, no. I was like, no, but literally, Phantom Menace came out a year before. I was like, you do realize this isn't just it's literally word for word.
So 2000, would that have been Final Fantasy
9?
Oh, 9. I think I have. Is that the one with Vivi on PlayStation 1? Oh, I had that.
Right at the end, before like one of the most annoying last bosses ever, which is just one of my most hated in the world. But aside from that, yeah, word for word. Don't know how they got away with word for word. Yeah. Not even slightly like, oh, I kind of see what you did there. It's word for word. I don't know how they did it.
Travis says, an interesting experiment would be to show Luke go in the cave, have Vader show up, then cut to Luke walking out. He and Yoda know what happened, but we don't. Then Vader calls him out on it at the end.
Yeah, do you know what? That is, something like that could have been quite cool. Because again, it's more suggestive. I just think that something in the cave should have been more suggestive rather than...
Yeah, because Yoda says, like, the cave. Remember your training in the cave.
Yeah, I think there should be... the cave should have been more suggestive rather than seeing what we see, because I like that with the whole, like, they know, but we don't. And it's kind of like okay, and yeah, I think it's too visual.
What about if you still had the Vader fight? He cuts Vader's head off, the mask explodes, Luke looks, but we don't see what's beneath the helmet, but we just get Luke's expression.
I don't know. I still think it's quite... I don't know. I just think it's too visual. I've always thought it's a bit too visual. It's very video game-like in the sense of, and that's great and it works in a video game. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's too visual. Don't
know. Mosine says, "Oh, we're doing Star Wars today. Cool. Hello, boyos.
Better than The Wild, isn't
it? It's much better than the Disney movie we watched this week. Yeah. Jedi kisses his own sister and no one minds. One chaste kiss between friends in Rings of Power and everyone loses their minds. That was not a chaste kiss. Oh, do not start me off, Mosine. That was Elrond making out with his mother-in-law. And it's fucking
we all need a bit of incest, Rick. Not in our lives, but in movies. In movies.
This leads us beautifully on to the next comment. Anon says, what's worse, Leia kissing her brother on the lips or Elrond kissing his mother-in-law? Oh, God. Well, I think... No, the Elrond kiss is worse because at this point, Leia didn't realize... Well, did she? Because in Return of the Jedi, she says, I know. Somehow, I've always known. But at this point, she didn't know. Apparently, and Luke didn't know.
I would have loved if she had said that and then Hannah walked past and go, now I know you did some freaky shit. Like something like that would have been funny.
The Elrond kiss is much worse for me because they know that they know that they're related, familial relation.
Do you know what I always found great though?
What?
Henry VIII wanted to bang his cousin, so he made it legal that you could do it. It was illegal before that. I always respect that, not because I want to bang my cousin, but because I just think that's really
the lengths he went through.
Yeah, exactly. He went, I'm gonna change the law, and I just think
divorce a thing.
Yeah, he's like, what a guy, Yeah. I will say that. Not gonna bang my cousin, but I'm saying what a guy. Yeah. He got what he wanted.
But like the whole Elrond thing, like where is Celeborn? Galadriel should be married. She should have a daughter. Elrond gets married to her daughter, and together they have Liv Tyler's character from The Lord of the Rings, and now there is no husband, there is no daughter, and Elrond's making out with Galadriel, his mother-in-law. What the fuck is going on? Don't set me off. I'm saving it for Friday. Rings of Power Season 2 finale. Be there. It's going to be fun. Travis says, similar to how you see stars the clearest when there's no man-made light around, I think the cave is on Dagobah because it's teeming with life, no technology, and far from the core. Oh, here we go. This is a big one. Yeah. Travis says, one change that feels gross is the replacement of Boba Fett's original voice. I like it, but unlike it, Sebastian Shaw, I think you mean, sorry. Sebastian Shaw, who's still in Return of the Jedi with Hayden, Jason Wingreen is deleted entirely. Yeah, and when you listen to the two voices side by side, I get why he's changed it to make it in line with the prequels. I don't agree with it. Jason Wingreen's voice has so much more personality to it and sounds a lot more sinister. Like the line, "What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me." And Wingreen's delivery of that is like, "What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me." And there's he feels like a cowboy, kind of like cowboy bounty hunter kind of thing. And there's a history to him, and his voice feels a bit ragged. Tamara Morrison, love him, great actor and everything like that. But then you just have like, "What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me." Like in his Kiwi accent, I'm like, So yeah, I'm not keen on that, to be honest. I don't like the whole fact that they made Boba Fett like a huge fucking thing, and Jango Fett was the template for the clones. Like I really just don't like that at all. But
yeah, cool ship. Boba Fett had the coolest ship.
Slave One. That was a special edition change in this one, wasn't it? Where you see it chasing after.
Slave 2.
Oh, was it Slave 2?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because Slave 1 is Jango Fett's.
Yeah, but I thought it was the same ship.
I swear I remember getting the Lego of it and it said Slave 2. I could be wrong, but I swear I remember the Lego set and it said Slave 2.
He owned it, but Slave 2 is in the canon, but it's a different ship.
Is it? I swear I could be wrong. Maybe it did say Slave 1, but I swear I remember it being said Slave 2.
Slave 1. Hey, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Slave 1.
I was wrong. I thought that's what it said.
But yeah, sorry, going back to the voice, I don't like that change, and we'll have a lot to say on the Hayden Christensen Force Ghost as well in the next movie. Mosine says, "I'm not a Star Wars nerd, but correct me if I'm wrong. The true fan base, not Disney, generally prefer the theatrical release over the special editions." I think generally, yes. There are exceptions to that, though. As I mentioned, like with this one, there are some things that I actually do enjoy. I like that it's cleaned up. I think some of the soundtrack transitions are a lot better. Some of the enhancements to Cloud City, whilst, it wouldn't have changed my opinion of Empire Strikes Back, but I do think it just makes it a little bit more visual. It feels like the world is a little bit more lived in at the very end. When we come to Return of the Jedi, I really like the changed music at the end from Yub Nub to Victory Celebration. It feels a lot more final. It feels a lot more emotional for the ending of this trilogy, the ending of this saga. And in A New Hope, I like the big scene that's added in. I think that adds a lot of dynamic to it. I do like the updated special effects of the attack on the Death Star at the end. I think it makes it feel a lot more exciting than kind of like the stiff kind of space combat in the original. I appreciate the original, and I always think that a version should be out there so you could watch the original before all the changes took place, just as a part of cinema history. But it's complicated. There are changes in them that I do like, that I do miss when I watch the theatrical versions. I'm like, oh, I kind of missed that from the special edition. And then when I watch the special editions, I'm like, oh, that scene really hurts. Why is Obi-Wan scaring the Sand people away by going like, yeah, stuff like that annoys me. So it's complicated, Missy. It's complicated. Travis says the original Emperor looks like Glenn after he's hit with baseball bat.
Yeah, the original. It's not consistent, is it? So I get why, but it's the hood.
Anon says, "Have you seen the Best of Palpatine claymation by Adult Swim?" I'm guessing you mean Robot Chicken. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the Robot Chicken stuff with the Emperor. It's great.
Stormtrooper.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Trevor says, I grew up with the 2004 editions. I have them down there for some reason. I don't know why they're down there, but they're down there. So had that seamless transition from prequels to originals. I prefer them over the originals. Interesting. Okay.
Not the Force Ghost, though. Anything but the Force Ghost.
Carl says the second Death Star was being built at the same time as the first one, wasn't it? Ooh.
Might have been. I don't
know. I think in the original outline for Return of the Jedi, there were going to be 2 Death Stars in that movie. because we got to go bigger. We got to have 2.
We've got to have 2, but that would have taken just twice as long, twice as much money.
We got to have it in pairs.
I can imagine the Emperor saying that and Darth Vader going, "We ain't made the money."
One hangs a little bit lower than the other one in space.
I still think it was a lazy choice in name Death Star 2. It's like, it's like calling your children Samuel and Samantha. It's like, give them their own fucking names. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how it feels to me.
Oh, going back to the Death Star name here. Yeah, no, Travis is totally right here. The Death Star plans are not in the main computer, I believe is the first mention of it in Star Wars. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Said by the Empire. Cole says, I've always being a kid and watching Empire for the first time and being shocked the bad guys actually won. Yeah, no, very ballsy and very necessary, I think, for a second part. I think you need that kind of... So the bad guys do kind of win, but there is still that hope at the very end. And I think that's really important, which I think Last Jedi tried to do, but just kind of fumbled everything and shit itself and just died.
I literally thought
that Jedi was a joke movie. Yeah, well, that's what it felt like, yeah. From a fucking joke director. Travis says, one critique I have is Leia is completely useless in this one. She's always being pulled by Han, Lando, or Chewie. Oh, disagree. She's the one who rallies all the fucking troops at Echo Base. She is still there when Echo Base is basically caved in. She's down to like the last few people that are staying there at the base to make sure everyone gets out. She's the one who mentions, like, I don't trust Lando. There's a lot going on with Leia. I feel she's the one who realizes that Luke is still back there. Let's go and save him. No, I disagree with that. I really like Leia in this one.
Leia becomes a very damsel in distress, doesn't she, in a way?
No.
In sense of that is what I'm saying. I can see where he's saying, but like I know I don't.
I never really see her as in distress.
I don't completely agree. I think she has a lot of use, and I don't see her as a damsel in distress, but she has some of those traits, is what I'm saying.
In this movie?
Yeah, she has some, but only she's not in distress. Like Han is the one that takes he's the one that gets frozen. It's not her. But I think she has some of those traits where I guess sometimes they're trying to make her that. I don't think it's delivered like that at all. I'm on about like 0.1% every now and then. But there's just occasional times I did think I kind of see where they're trying to make her character be.
I didn't see that at all. Like there's a bit where, like, like the ship jolts and she falls into Han's arms and she's like, "Get off me!" I think
it's just a love interest. I don't think there's any like distress, like you say, but I think it's just a love interest. There's just it's very minor, very minor.
I don't see that at all, to be honest, with Leia in this one. But hey, that's just me. That's fine. Travis says, I will say the dialogue is the most lively in this one, so it holds even the slower parts together. Oh, the dialogue's fantastic in this. Like the banter between the characters, just the deeper themes about the Force is just written beautifully. The scene with the X-Wing, we need to talk about John Williams. Out of all 3 soundtracks, I love them all. I know a lot of the themes were established in that first Star Wars movie, but to me, this is the best soundtrack out of the originals. It doesn't have my favorite track from the originals, but I think overall, as a complete score, it's astounding. Like the asteroid field music, it's exciting, it's thrilling. How old is
John Williams now?
What? I just want. We ain't doing this again. You named Maggie Smith, you fuck. Dame Maggie Smith, you named her on a live stream, and look what ended up. We lost Professor McGonagall the other day, and it was very sad.
I'm just saying he's like, what, 19?
You need to shut up. We're ending this conversation right now. But the score to this is outstanding, and it gets me every time. I have seen Empire Strikes Back. This is the 3rd time I've kind of seen it on a big screen. When everything went into lockdown, I think it was with the 40th anniversary of this movie. Maybe around lockdown. Yeah. So I went to see it at the cinema then, with one of the guys from my old channel that shall not be named. And then I went to see Empire Strikes Back in orchestra. So it was on a big screen again. So this is my 3rd time watching it, but the X-Wing scene with Yoda's theme really gets to me every time. And even tonight, I didn't want you to see it. I was even getting a little bit misty from it. Just that moment, the significance of that, the brilliance of creating this character of Yoda, who's Luke gets there and he's like, I'm looking for a great warrior, and he's expecting, someone burly, someone hench, someone tall. with muscles, who looks imposing and looks like a warrior. And you have this little unassuming short little creature who is the most powerful Force user you could ever hope to meet. And just that moment, but like the music, it's so good. It always gets me.
You know The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
When Luke trains Grogu, when is that set? After episode 6?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because I've never seen it.
I just see 6 years like, after, I think.
Yeah, I've only seen bits, but
what was I going to say? This also has some of my favorite Vader moments. One thing with the soundtrack, oh god, I can't believe I almost brushed past this and moved straight on.
Leia's theme. Is it Leia's theme?
Well, not Leia's. Well, that's beautiful
the theme of
too.
Love?
Well, yeah, that as well. There's so many themes, but the Imperial March, probably the most iconic bad guy music, I would say, out of any piece of music ever constructed.
I love the lead up to it, the way it starts.
Yeah,
like because it doesn't actually start properly. It's just got a big build up, and then
yeah, and it always, the Imperial March, it does feel like you could imagine a march to that. And John Williams is fantastic at writing marches. One of my favorite pieces of music is from the prequels, which is like the droids, which is that march that they have. You tap along to it. It's almost like a march. Duel of the Fates is just biblical, isn't it? It's just fucking incredible. But yeah, the Imperial March, it's so iconic to Star Wars, iconic to this movie. Every time it cuts the Empire, every time it cuts to Vader, it becomes synonymous with not just the Empire, but with Vader himself, used in the prequels too. And you always forget that A New Hope never introduced that theme. I kind of would love to see an edit of A New Hope with that theme reinstated throughout all the Vader bits. I think that would be cool.
I kind of like to see it when he entrances. When he enters.
Yes.
Yeah. Entrances.
Although, what, in A New Hope?
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch that scene because when it goes like bum 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 and then it cuts out.
That's
and you
what
just hear the breathing.
I agree. I'd like to see it, but I don't think it. Like I want it to replace it, but I'd like to see what it would be like.
Maybe something like the Obi-Wan fight, the lightsaber fight. You could have Vader's theme coming in.
No, that should have had the Benny Hill theme. That would have been great.
But yeah, what a score! What a score! Travis says, while I love The Last Jedi, fair enough.
Next comment.
The issue is A New Hope assembles the characters, splits them up briefly, and unites them at the end so they can split. It just handles it much better. Last Jedi just feels, well, we're going to go on with it. Yeah. But if you like it, fair enough. I'm not going to say you can't like a movie. It's just our opinion, so take it for what it's worth. Travis says, The Force Awakens separates Poe from the other characters the entire movie. Well, that was because he was originally meant to die after the opening. Then Rey is separated from everyone else the second half, so it feels weird when they split up. Yeah, you're totally right. All of this contributes. Brinsley says, Rise of Skywalker is worse for that. TLJ, they were mainly apart, but a lot of Force chemistry in Rise.
Forced.
Well, yeah, because it felt like that movie was not only trying to be in Episode 9, it was also trying to apologize for everything that happened in the second movie and to try and retcon it in a way. So, yeah, it was a busy movie. Let's see. I want to see African Star Wars, not going to lie.
That'd be brilliant.
Well, I'm sure Disney will get right on that. Don't you worry about it.
They will. Leia will be gay.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Mosine says, not racist, sexist. Star Wars fans are sexist men, according to Ray Palpatine. Yeah, have you heard about that, Daisy Ridley? What she said recently?
No, this will be fun.
I'm going to find the exact quote from what she said so that I don't misquote.
Oh dear. Is it one of those? Have you ever watched the movie kind of thing?
Hang on. So, Daisy Ridley. Here we go. So she talks about toxicity and sexism regarding Rey. This is a quote from her, and I think it's taken from NBC News. She says, I think my take is things get blown out of proportion, and the interactions I've ever had with people have never been... Hang on. Oh, no, hang on. That's a different quote. My bad. Hang on. Let me find it. She's basically said it's revolving around this Rey movie that's meant to be happening, which I think is going to get quietly swept to the side. But, yeah, she talks about the reason is because men don't like her character.
Well,
and it's because they're sexist.
I can sit here and list 100 female characters I absolutely love because they're good characters. There's a difference between a bad character. So
exactly, and it's women don't like a character as well. It's just
Wonder Woman's a fantastic character. I absolutely love Wonder Woman. There's many female characters I love, but
I'm really trying to find this.
Ray is just a very. It's just not. And also, do you know the other thing that's great is when it ends on Rise of Skywalker and it's like, but that like Ray who Ray Skywalker.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That it also feels like she's just trying to fit into the universe. It's just like, but you're not. Go away.
Yeah,
like it just feels so.
She can adopt the name, right? It's very 2024.
Yeah, but you seen that baby that they called someone Skywalker and Disney said no.
No.
Yeah, they rejected a passport and bollocks. And I'm like, how can you own a name that you name your kid? Like, it's illegal to call your kid Jesus. I don't know why. It's fucking weird. But I don't know. But yeah, we would like the character if she was a well-written character. She was a good character. But it just was. I don't remember much about the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I honestly don't, because she's not a well-written character. I don't remember much about Finn. Finn was a better written character. I preferred Finn as a character. He was, I think it's just because John Boyega is quite funny. And I think I actually liked I think he portrayed the character a lot better.
He shouldn't be funny, though. He's a child soldier that's been indoctrinated into.
No, but I mean, like, I'm on about within, like, him as a person is funny.
So
what I'm saying is, and I think he, played the character well, and he's got that kind of humor in him where I just think he can have the funny parts in the movie. Not overly funny, but what I mean is he can just have that bit of kind of, he's not too serious, but then sometimes he's got, I just think he was played so much better, whereas Rey wasn't. She was very one-dimensional, cool, and everything she did was trying to be like what came before her, like Kylo Ren. His specific point in Kylo Ren was trying to be Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He wore a fucking mask to be Darth Vader. The whole point of that was to be what came
Darth
before.
Vader. Yeah,
and Rey did that, but without saying it, and that made it worse because it's like, at least fucking admit it.
I found the interview. So this was with Premiere, and they asked Daisy Ridley how she felt about this quote violent reaction to Rey. And this is what Daisy Ridley replied. This is a quote. She says, No. I know that some people have expressed themselves negatively, but I don't pay attention to it. Ridley said, quote, because it doesn't really concern me. I can't change the way some men see women. Unfortunately, that's how society works.
It's got nothing to do with how men see women. It's just about good characters and bad characters. There are so many films and books and games and everything that have great female leads, and they can be written well. What I don't like is if it's a badly written character, there are so many male characters that are shit, but also it's like making the Penguin a fucking woman in the new Batman series. It's like, but why? This is a male character. Make a good female character. We like Harley Quinn. She's a good character. I fucking love Punchline. She's a good character. We can utilize these characters. If you really want a female character you haven't got, fucking make a new one then. All you're doing by doing that is saying that only male characters work. We're not. You're saying that by making the male character a female. It's just fucking stupid. Yeah, there's so many great female characters. I know you didn't like Gotham or whatever, but I like the first series. I did like it. I like the character of Fish Mooney. I think she was cool. She wasn't like an amazing character, but I liked her and I like what she did. Female characters can do so much. You can have for instance, Empire Strikes Back is a really, really good example. For Leia's a great character. I know I said she's got like 0.1, like let's see what they're trying to do, but Han is the one that was taken captive. He is, the damsel in distress. He's the one they've got to save. And she goes, she's the one that doesn't she actually thaw the ice as well, like specifically? I know she's there with Luke, but doesn't she press that? I can't remember exactly who does it, but she's saving him. So you can have strong female characters. She's the one that's leading the rebellion. There's, you have good written characters, nothing to do with the way men see women or anything like that. There's a good character and a bad character. What makes a good story? It's like, I would never say don't put a guitar solo in a hip hop song because they don't fit there. It's like, you just do what is good. That's it.
Yeah. But perfectly said it. Kathleen Kennedy, big shocker, hires a activist filmmaker to make a Rey standalone movie. It's ridiculous. What Abe Chinoy or whatever she's called. I can't remember her name. Chinoy. she fucking hates men, like quite candidly on camera says that, you know, she hates men and doesn't have like a positive word about say. So I can only think like Daisy Ridley being in that wheelhouse and just hearing that constantly from Hollywood and the people she's working with, maybe it's just rubbed off on her. Maybe they've given her notes to say like, this is the buzzword, this is what we want you to say, this is the agenda that we want you to push. And it's like, look, love, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not going to win any fans back by talking like that and saying, oh, men hate Rey. I know a lot of women that fucking hate Rey as well because she's a shit character. It's nothing against Daisy Ridley.
I hate Kylo Ren. He's the worst bit, and he's a dude. Like, what do you know what I mean? Like, we don't have to point out their fucking gender.
I thought Kylo. Well, I think he's still shit. I agree, but he's to me, he's probably the best thing in the sequels. And that's not saying much.
He was whiny. You see what they did in Dragon Quest 3? They, instead of male and female, it's now Type 1 and Type 2. They changed it over in the West because apparently the people find it offensive.
Disney are going to remake A New Hope.
They're going to remake the fucking world.
They're going to remake A New Hope, and it's like, oh no, we can't call it the binary sunset now. Now it's going to be the fucking non-binary sunset. It's going to be all this and all that.
They're going to really fuck with everything, aren't they?
Fucking hell. Travis says, as a viewer of stories, the key to making you care is opening with a character giving something or actually selflessly, like Han saving Luke here. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that quality in characters in modern storytelling is just kind of lost. Everyone seems very narcissistic now. Everyone feels very self-centered, and it feels like we've lost that quality of heroism.
I'm bored of predictable plots as well. Like, there's so much of like, oh, this is going to happen because of this. This has got to happen because of this. It's so, everything's predictable because you get, like with this, it was like a character that if they had killed him off, it would have been more unpredictable. Sure. But them doing that and ending on he still kind of does end on a whole. Does he survive? Does he not? Because you don't know. He could like
it's bittersweet. It's a bittersweet ending,
and it's unpredictable in that sense. But nowadays, you just, I mean, when I say nowadays, you got it a lot in before as well. But just so many predictable plots, and the reason they do so well is why Marvel did so well, because it's safe. It's like, oh, we'll just do what people like, and that's why I hate Marvel. It was just so. It was like, so that movie was exactly the same as that. That was exactly the same as that. And the thing is, everything, Iron Man came out in 2008, and every fucking Marvel movie after that was exactly the same. And I didn't even care for fucking Iron Man in 2008. Infinity War and Endgame were cool, but, you know,
Endgame wasn't.
Do you know what? Hot take, I preferred Endgame to Infinity War.
Oh, that is a hot take. No.
but my God. I am not a Marvel fan of those movies. So it's kind of like, for instance, I was never a fan of Arctic Monkeys. They brought out a new album. I thought it was amazing. Everyone that liked them hated it. So again, I'm not a big Marvel fan. I like that. So I don't know where it's because of that. Well, I say because you know what I mean. I don't know where people that are fans of it don't see it that way. But what was my point? There was a point about Marvel. Why did I bring up Marvel?
Well, I was just going to say, like, in terms of like modern films, I'm tired of
predictability. That was it.
I'm tired of this very meta analysis on like the hero. It's just like, oh, the hero wasn't really the hero. They were damaged and they were shit and they
misunderstood.
Yeah, the villain was misunderstood and we should actually sympathize with the villain, and the hero that you looked up to is actually a shell and a broken husk and terrible and done all these despicable things. I fucking hate that, and it's everywhere.
That's what I love about the Joker. He just does shit because he finds it funny. He is not, he just does, he's not misunderstood. He's just a twat, and that's great. And you can be, and that's fine, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, Travis says Rise of Skywalker opens with Poe and Han getting plans, Kylo getting the Wayfinder, Rey annoyed that she can't talk to the Jedi. They're petty and selfish, so it makes you not like anyone. Yeah,
I hated the Wayfinder. Agree. What's a Wayfinder doing in fucking space?
Yeah.
Why have they got a Sith planet? Fucking hated that shit. It became Harry Potter in space. It was like, that's a B movie, Harry Potter in space. You know what I mean? That's what that is. I fucking hated it.
Anon says Mauler's Rise of Skywalker video is glorious. I watch Mauler's stuff pretty much every day. I'm a big fan of Mauler's stuff. Great reads, great analysis on all the stuff. Love long form content. So the long man's great. Fucking love his stuff. Travis says one plot hole people point out is Lando wearing Han's clothes. He betrayed Vader to his face, and we see him get on the Falcon with the clothes on his back. It was all he had. Yeah, so I was thinking about that today. So the thing that first drew reference to that for me was the Family Guy Star Wars spoof, where they mentioned that, and I've always laughed at that because I never really noticed it until now. But yeah, I was thinking like in terms of a change of clothes, it's just whatever's Han's wardrobe would have been on the Falcon. So yeah, I was thinking about that today, and I was like, oh no, that checks out.
Is it weird to wear a dead person's clothes?
Do you know this dead person?
Yes.
And how freshly are they dead?
Oh, they were just killed in front of you.
Probably it would be a bit weird then.
But then who killed them also ripped your clothes off. So that's all that there is.
Oh.
Is it weird? Or would you kind of just do it?
Oh, so you're actually taking the crime scene clothes off the person?
Well, yeah, because what they've done is they've killed that person and they've left you both in the woods. And instead of killing you, you're almost dead, but they've just ripped your clothes off. So to survive, you kind of have to put the clothes on. Is it a bit messed up?
Yes.
So you would run out naked?
Yes.
Oh, I would have taken the clothes.
I mean, I'd cover my decency.
I would have taken the clothes, and then when they asked, I'd be like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" So I guess
that's going to incriminate you in a heartbeat, though, isn't it?
This is why I can never commit a crime, because I say this kind of shit. People, the first thing they think of is me. So this is why we know I've never committed a crime.
Trevor says, one beautiful thing about the trilogy is literally every single thing set up is paid off by the end, whether it's a character storyline or someone who's mentioned, it all comes back. Yeah, the original trilogy is fucking great for that. I mean, like Lord of the Rings, my God, probably the best example for that as well.
The Lego Star Wars 2 is the best one as well.
It has the I am your father moment is still the best Lego moment ever, as far as I'm concerned.
That was the best one, rather than Lego Star Wars, like the original one. Oh, that was great, but that was just the kind of characters. And remember the top trumps? They were so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I had those too. Yeah,
fucking sick. Yes.
Anon says, if you got a sharper camera and dressed up your background a bit, you could get more views. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. In terms of a webcam for here, I don't know. I feel like StreamYard can only stream in 720p. I might be mistaken about that. I mean, more views would be nice. More people finding the channel. It has been growing actually the last few months, and I thank everyone is like a new face who's subscribed and everything. I have been thinking about getting a new camera, so I might actually pick up one. I might treat myself at Christmas and get a new one, and hopefully StreamYard can stream at 1080p. I don't know if that's like a higher end one that you have to pay for. Dressing up the background, yeah, I mean, the background is great. It is Lord of the Rings though, and this is my space. That's that's my keyboard, and that's Lord of the Rings swords waiting to go up on the wall somewhere. But yeah, I do need to sort stuff out. You're right.
I wonder if you had like a dead hooker on it, like how long it would take before people asked, "What's that?" Before people noticed.
Why is it always dead hookers with you?
I think they're more interesting than regular dead people.
Fair.
It comes off the tongue a bit easier, dead hooker, doesn't it?
Brinsley says, apparently there's a village called Brinsley. I'm going to move there and take over. Yeah, you do it, man. You'll be the president.
Where is that?
You'll be the head honcho, El Presidente. Trevor says, in the national public radio drama for Empire Strikes Back, John Lithgow voices Yoda, and it's hilarious. Oh my God, I didn't know. Lord Farquaad voices Yoda. This is huge.
He's not that impressive, is he, though? I wasn't a big fan of that movie, was I?
Oh, Anon says, you mean you're not a fan of the Holdo maneuver? The thing that breaks space travel in Star Wars and space combat and everything we've seen before. Yeah, not a fan.
Space combat.
Oh, this is one for you. We need a Dragon Ball Z stream.
Yes, we do.
Let's go.
We do, 100%. Now,
that could be. I could be, because you know it so well. I've never ever watched a single episode. Do we start a weekly stream? We need to do more than one episode a week, though.
Because we will be
dead.
Together.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We will be dead.
There's a lot. I'm trying to work out. There's 291 of Z, 130 of the original, plus 100 plus 64.
We'd have to knock
you're looking
out
about 500 plus a couple of movies. That if you was to do one stream a week, how many weeks are in a year? You'd be there for a good 15 years.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe not.
So you'd have to do one a day. Would put you on. It would take you about 2 years to do one a day.
Yeah, no, you'd have to do. We'd have to like knock out 10 episodes in a week.
Yeah,
might
be able to do. I don't know. You might be able to do like the movies. But then if you have the movies,
no, because I want the series.
Yeah, so you need the context, I guess.
Are the episodes in like story arcs? So could you say, right, we're going to watch episodes 1 to 4 today and talk about that? Now we're going to watch episodes 5 to 7, or
are in story arcs, yes, but there's still about 500 and something episodes. I mean, you could go with the movies because movies don't go in continuity with the rest. It breaks, like something will happen, and it's like, well, that can't happen because of this in the story. So they're not canon, the movies. So technically, you could go with that, but then you kind of need backstory. So
I'm sure stuff happens, but all I've seen from Dragon Ball Z is people punching each other in a desert for
technically,
episodes.
there's a version, Dragon Ball Z Kai, which cuts out all the filler and changes from 290 episodes to like 100.
But is the filler necessary?
It's not necessary. No, it's not necessary.
But would that be your preferred way to watch it? Is the original?
But I'm like one of the biggest. Like, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I've got like 7 Dragon Balls tattooed on me. I've got fucking another one on my back. Like, so I'm the wrong person to ask on that. Mm-hmm. So it depends. I mean, I've read the manga as well, so I'm the wrong person to
ask. Travis says, I see the Rise of Skywalker refers to Luke finally lifting the X-Wing. The idea that at one point lifting that was his heaviest burden he ever carried until his own grief outweighed it. I actually didn't mind the X-Wing scene, I suppose, but then you think, well, okay, so now Force Ghosts can not only hold a lightsaber, but they can also still use the Force and get involved. And Yoda Force Ghost can summon lightning from the sky to set fire to a tree. I'm like, well, why can't you just get Force Ghost doing everything then?
One thing I think probably should have been explained in this one was the Force Ghost a little bit. Not overly, not like, oh, it's Force Ghost and stuff, but at the beginning when you see...
Well, this was the first one that introduced them.
Yeah. But what I mean is, like, when you first see Obi-Wan and he tells him to go to Dagobah, it gives off where Luke, I can't remember the exact words he uses, but he gives us that impression of like it might have been in his head.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
And then, it doesn't look like a proper Force Ghost, does it? It's kind of like barely visible.
Yeah. And then when you see him later and then he's with Yoda, it should be kind of not overly explained, but Yoda should say something like, this is because you're a true master of the Force or something like that. But that's not said. He's just there and it's just kind of accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it was real life, you'd be like, are you seeing this too? Like, I feel like there should have been something that was just kind of scaled over.
Because it starts off where you just hear, I mean, you get the bit where he visibly sees him kind of barely on half. Then when they get to Dagobah, you just hear, like A New Hope, the disembodied voice of Obi-Wan again, which marries up. And it's like, okay, so they can still interact some way, but it's just kind of their voice that you hear. But then, you actually see him in the Force Ghost.
I think there should have been a little bit of just, this is what happens when there should have been something that wasn't addressed.
Yeah.
It was a bit odd.
Yeah, I agree. Brinsley says also Goku went black for a season.
Technically. Not the colour black, though.
Oh.
They had Goku black because black means evil, I think, in some places or whatever, and it was Goku black, and I don't know, it'll go over your head. So
Travis says the first Dragon Ball character I was introduced to was Oob in GT,
which is Boo in reverse. He is a little black man.
Who I thought was black until someone said he was supposed to be an Indian.
Well, yeah, Indian, but he's not white. He's little brown boy, and he's great.
Sorry, Mosine says this might be prequel baby syndrome, but I've always preferred CG Yoda over Puppet Yoda, or maybe because I just dislike Puppet Yoda and Disney Star Wars. Yeah, the Disney Star Wars one's fucking terrible.
Do you know what? CG...
Why are the puppets so much better from like the 70s and the 80s compared to the new shit? I don't get it.
Because they don't give a shit now. Whereas then it was a lot put into it. But in episode 1, it's really weird because we said this in episode 1. Puppet Yoda, I still think that sometimes that where he raises his eyes would widen and he goes everything and like that, like it was weird looking, but it was like it looked cool. The CGI Yoda I didn't love, but for continuity purposes it does work more. But Puppet Yoda just so much better. But imagine Puppet Yoda in episode 3 fighting Palpatine. Well,
here's the thing, I wish they'd have kept Puppet Yoda in the prequels, and I mean they kind of did originally. The puppet didn't look good, but they did have one in Phantom Menace. I wish they'd have done the same. All the close-up shots, everything like that, you could still have Puppet Yoda. But if you want him fighting, that's when you snap to CGI. Like, I'm fine with that. In integration of both of them. They could have done it.
I mean, they've got monies.
Trader Ball Jack says, happy October 1st. Oh, Christ, yeah. We're into spooky season now, which means I can start watching some horror movies. Which means I can start decorating the place like Halloween. It's going to be great. And he also asks, which version of Empire Strikes Back do you prefer, original or special edition? Honestly, for this one,
it's not the biggest of deals.
I would go special edition, I think, for this one.
Yeah, the thing is, the Emperor is like the best thing they could do, but the worst thing they could do, because continuity-wise, it stacks up and it's what they should have done. but it's the worst thing because he doesn't look mysterious in it.
Mm.
It's the weirdest kind of, but yeah, special edition. I would agree.
I always like having the option to watch the theatrical version, but yeah, with this one, I'd be fine. I wouldn't mind either way, but I'd probably throw on the special edition. Carl says they could have easily just made the same movie again with a Star Wars sequel, but they expanded on the universe massively in every way. What was this one? Oh, I think he means Empire Strikes Back. They could have just done the same again and didn't have to expand it. Yeah, no, I totally agree, but they did expand it. They could have expanded it a little bit more, maybe. But yeah, no, they did well. Trevor says, while I don't think it's canon, Obi-Wan would be an ideal Jedi. Wait, hang on, sorry. Obi-Wan would be an ideal knight after Phantom Menace. There should have been a line where Yoda says, "Train him, you will not until finish training. I do." Oh yeah, I think saying that. Yeah, even well, I mean, he did defeat a Sith Lord, so I guess when he says like, "I am ready to face the trials," he did take out a Sith Lord.
Yeah, so you're fine. You'll be all right.
We're fast tracking you to a Jedi Knight now. Travis says, not showing what's under the helmet except Luke's reaction. Then when Vader says, "I am your father," cut to Luke and a flash of his head under the helmet in the cave. As a fan edit, that could work. Interesting idea. I'll bring that up to JX Editor. He loves doing his Star Wars edits, and we're always talking about ideas. So I'm going to mention the Dagobah idea that someone mentioned earlier, and I'll also mention that regarding the cave. Brinsley, was this a quote from you? Incest. I respect that.
I feel like it's something I'd say.
Travis says, according to an interview, Tamora Morrison re-recorded his lines over the phone. That doesn't surprise me if that's the case. Oh, yeah, Slave 2 is in the Dark Empire comic.
I still swear, I mean, I probably am wrong because I don't think Lego would have got it wrong, but I swear the Lego set still said Slave 2. I swear that's where I got it from, but I could
not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Continuing the hot takes, Travis says, I do love the direction the prequels took Boba and his overall arc, as well as Hayden being in Return of the Jedi. Ooh,
Hayden being Return of the Jedi. You know why it doesn't make sense? Because Luke would be like, who the fuck are you? Yeah. He wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just that's the main thing. Also, Obi-Wan would look over and go, no, this is not the face of Anakin I want. This is the last thing I remember before I fucking fucking
well, it's like if you can just appear as you were younger, then why doesn't Yoda appear as CGI Yoda? Why doesn't Alec Guinness appear as Ewan McGregor? And if it's like, oh, it was the last time that Anakin was a Jedi, well, it was when he killed the Emperor.
I think, as I still stand by, you need to watch 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, and 3 because I Am Your Father is not a big reveal. It's like cool, whatever.
Yeah,
and it still needs. I know it's fucking public knowledge, but it still needs to be some big okay, because you're supposed to experience story with the characters. That's why I really love video games, because you're experiencing it with the character. You are playing as them, and when you see movies and stuff, you're kind of supposed to experience it with them. So, but if you watch 4, 5, and 6, seeing Hayden Christensen again, you're just like, who? Mm-hmm. But then again, I was kind of the same as a kid, because you only see Sebastian Shaw's face for a very, very small amount of time. I, as a kid, still was a bit like, because you don't see him in robes, you don't see him any of that. It felt very odd to me. I was always, and my brother was like, oh, that's Darth Vader. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you never got it?
Not at the beginning. Oh. Not straight away. I mean, as I say, this is when I was a little kid. This wasn't 5 years ago. This is when I was a little kid. But because I had the figures of the Force Ghosts, they were on their log and everything, and I remember saying to my brother, and he was like, oh yeah, that's Darth Vader, and it didn't click straight away, because, like I say, it was still. If you use Sebastian Shaw's version, it is still a little bit. I wouldn't say it's rushed, but it is still kind of like. I guess maybe it's because I reacted like that as a kid, but you still kind of have to look out for it in a way. But Hayden Christensen just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't make any sense.
And looks really fucking creepy and intimidating when he's looking at Luke as well.
Yeah.
Travis says, hell yes, I think Victory Celebration is a much better closing track than Yub Nub. Yeah, totally. If there were a Death Star 3, it would be destroyed by clogging a toilet in the break room.
The Death Star 3, fuck, imagine that.
Going off Leia being a damsel, Return of the Jedi corrects that by allowing her to kill Jabba, the looming threat of the entire trilogy. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I still don't think she's not a damsel. It's just all I mean is I can just see little, just little thing. But she's always been a strong character. She's never not been. She's never not been. Do you ever watch King of Queens?
No.
So it's like there's husband and wife, and the female characters always, she's quite dominant. She's quite that kind of, and that's how I'd imagine Leia. If you were in, they were married, she's quite dominant. She's very, if they were to argue, she would always be like, yeah, but you're a dick anyway. Like there would never be a bowing down, never, like she is a strong character.
I'm going back to all of these comments, and I was like, I remember like the part of our conversation where we were talking about this. I know there's quite a lot, so I'm trying to get through them all, guys. Thank you for keep them coming in. Travis says, one thing the originals did is briefly allow background characters to get focus. Yeah, in this one, this is with the scene with Rogue 2, when the speeders go searching for Han and Luke with that awesome music that goes with it. Yeah, like the dun 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 dun. Yeah, it's a great I love that song. Yoda's theme is fantastic as he lifts the X-Wing, and the Lando Cloud City theme is whimsical and badass. Yeah, I always get a thrill of the bit where they're about to escape. R2-D2 lets out like the kind of smoke machine, fire extinguisher looking thing to clear their escape, and they come out and you get the sweeping score as they make it to the Falcon. It's fucking great. Love it. Droid Army theme is great. My favorite poster of this film is the one with the Falcon digitally separating Lando from the rest of the characters, with Vader looming above him. Even the poster tells a story. Was that the special edition, like the 97 special edition poster? Is it that one? I think. I do like the original one with Vader, where he's got like his arm outstretched and it's all illustrated. Was that the Drew Struzan one? I quite like that one. Travis says, I like Rey. She's a kid who had a bad moment in her life that she never grew out of. She's an adult with a child's mindset that people are coming back when everyone got... Well, she has 3 different backstories. The first one is that her parents died and they're never coming back. Her parents just left her and are never coming back, and she makes peace with that. The second one is that, oh no, your parents are dead and they were no one and you should forget them. And then the next one is like, no, forget those 2 stories. You're actually a Palpatine. And it's like, oh, okay.
Fucking hate that movie. I hate all 3 of them.
Let's see, just skimming down some of the comments now. Oh my God, Travis with just hot take after hot take after hot take here for me. I also like Endgame over Infinity War. I think that Iron Man 3 is the best Iron Man. Winter Soldier was boring, and No Way Home is the worst Spider-Man movie. Okay. I
zoned out then. What?
I disagree with all of them.
I also like Endgame. I agree.
Infinity War is, in my opinion, is vastly superior from a writing standpoint and from everything. Iron Man 3 I detested, because that's the one with the Mandarin before they did the Mandarin.
I never watched Iron Man 2, but I did prefer Iron Man 3 over Iron Man 1.
Winter Soldier, to me, is one of Marvel's best. I thought it was fucking outstanding.
Didn't see the Spider-Man ones, because I love Spider-Man, and they'll ruin it.
Yeah, not a patch on the Sam Raimi ones, but it's probably my favourite one out of the 3.
I've never watched them only because I love Spider-Man, and I just, like, you know what, Marvel just did shit films.
Brinsley loves your quote as well. Dead hookers are more interesting.
I stand by that. I will stand by that every day.
Brinsley says, watch Dragon Ball Z Kai to cut out the filler, and you could review each arc.
Yeah, if we were to just watch Dragon Ball Z Kai, I'm on about if we watch Dragon Ball and GT and Super, that's a lot of episodes. But if you just watch Dragon Ball Z Kai, it's just the main bit that like is just the main chunk. Then yeah, we could easily, that's like 100 and something episodes. That's doable.
Travis says, just realised it, but can Force Ghosts only appear on secluded planets? Hoth, Tatooine, Dagobah, Endor, but not Coruscant, Naboo, or the Death Star, only voices. Yeah, I don't know if it's got something to do with...
First thing I want to say, Death Star's not a planet, just saying. Anyway, continue.
Well,
you said deserve it, Death Star's not a planet, but anyway.
On secluded planets. I mean, define secluded, because they appear on Endor, but you've got like Ewoks and like probably a bunch of other creatures there too. I mean, you're talking about like people, like humans.
Yeah, but the thing is, Force Ghosts didn't appear at all in the prequels, did they? It was.
But if people are a thing, I mean, there's a whole party going on with the Ewoks, and the Force Ghosts show up right next to that on Endor. So I don't feel like that matters all that much.
Do you think they have a Force house? Like they have the little Force colony.
Force house.
Yeah. Qui-Gon sat there just like sipping his tea, going, "You guys go for it. I'm done."
Mosine says, are there going to be any more Disney Star Wars mainline movies? It seems like the Rey movie has been silently cancelled. Yeah, I think it has too. Fucking hell, yeah, I hope so.
I hope they cancel everything to do with Star Wars.
Yeah, I hope there's no more mainline Star Wars movies. But no, I mean, look at all the movies that have been announced and just disregarded. Tell a lie, I think there is one still in production, and that's Dawn of the Jedi. I think it's...
Or the Mandalorian one.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you're right. The Mandalorian and Grogu, I guess, is the next mainline movie.
Sounds fucking awful, doesn't it?
Yep, and it will be. And also Dawn of the Jedi, which I think is it James Mangold, the guy who directed Logan, I think is directing sort of the first ever Jedi, who I guess is going to be female, probably.
He's directing the... What?
They're doing a film called Dawn of the Jedi, which is a prequel, which is about the first ever Jedi who ever did Jedi. It's a prequel that's
set 1,000,000 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, sure. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see the first Jedi. I don't mind the Old Republic and years when the Jedi were, but we don't need to see the first Jedi. We don't need to see how they installed the toilets in the fucking Jedi Temple. We don't need to see, like the auditions for like they should put up posters and shit and just going, oh, we're just training some new Jedi. Yeah, come in and see. We've got like look, there's some cupcakes there. We don't need to see that shit. Like who's force sensitive? You put someone like a fucking force scale. She puts someone like, well, you're only 28%. Unfortunately, you don't make it. And like the people bring their kids and she's like, oh, my kid here for like they're auditioning for fucking like adverts. We don't need to see that shit. We just like the Jedi as they are, and that's done. And they're in the temple, and that's cool. Saying that, you didn't play Knights of the Old Republic, did you?
I started watching like a Let's Play of it.
So Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah. I absolutely love that game, but it does have a little Yoda like Jedi, and Yoda's supposed to be mysterious, kind of like we don't need constant like a Yoda in something. They don't need to always be there. It takes away the coolness of Yoda himself. But aside from that, it was sick. But yeah, I just want like a cool. If we had a Star Wars RPG that's set 1,000 years ago and there's some Jedi you could that's cool. But what about that Star Wars Outlaws?
Oh god,
it looks fucking unplayable, doesn't it?
There's been some really funny like glitches and bugs in that game.
I've seen people literally crash into walls.
Yes, yeah.
Which is a shame because I thought when that goes down to like 20 quid, I might get it, but I'm not going to get it for 20 quid now.
No, don't bother. Don't bother. Yeah, but it's just funny to me that the last Star Wars movie was in 2019. You had the Last Jedi. You had that 1-2 punch of the Last Jedi coming out, and then Solo, a Star Wars story, which lost money. It was the first Star Wars movie to lose money. And then they panicked. They scrapped all the spin-off movies they had, which was Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, a Yoda prequel movie, I think. They scrapped all of those and were like, right, we're just going to move to TV now. And we haven't had a movie since 2019. Star Wars. So if Star Wars was actually successful, they'd have been cranking out movies every single year. But the fact that the Rey movie was meant to be coming out in 2026, now that's been like swept under the rug.
Do you reckon
we're getting towards almost 10 years without a Star Wars movie, which is insane?
We'll get a Plagueis movie?
I fucking hope not. They bought him into Acolyte.
That's what I mean.
No.
Because of that, that's why I'm wondering whether it will happen.
No, and I wouldn't want them to, even if they did. I'm getting to the point now where it's like I would be quite happy with no more Star Wars movies ever again.
Oh yeah, I would be too.
Because it's just going to be shit. Whilst this current leadership of Disney is in power, it's going to be shit. And Brinsley says as well, I still waiting for that Rian Johnson trilogy any day now. Yeah, no, I agree. Trader Jack says, I recall a funny change in the 97 Empire Strikes Back special edition is when Luke falls after Vader's confession. There was a terrible scream effect added, but was later removed in the later releases. Travis has pointed out, it's the Emperor's scream for Return of the Jedi. So that version, the 97 special edition, were the versions that I had on video. And I remember watching it as a kid and going, that's the Emperor's scream when he throws him down the pit. I was confused about it. I was like, they repeated the same sound effect. And I always thought it was very, very strange and awkward and out of place. So 2 prequels in production, no sequels to the main storyline. Yep. Nope. Only Disney know how to brutally butcher a golden goose. Yeah, and what a golden goose it was. Like, watching this again tonight was an absolute pleasure. And just really reaffirmed to me just how just the original trilogy was a masterclass. It really was. And I was watching it thinking this still holds up today. It's fantastic. It's great escapism. And I was like, they just don't make them how they used to. They really don't. And even from that opening 20th Century Fox fanfare at the beginning, I know I say it every week, but it really does hit home. When that drums up, even the prequels, and these are like the originals are better in my opinion. But it feels like, yeah, this is proper Star Wars. You know, this feels right. You know, and then thinking about the Disney Star Wars, it just, and I was looking at every aspect of this film tonight, thinking what this did right, where the sequel trilogy just completely falls on its arse and just ruins it and dismantles it and is really just mean-spirited. I was like, this was just about fun and escapism and these characters and this story from George Lucas that he wanted to tell. That's all it should be. That's all you have to do. You don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to Star Wars. You really don't. Yeah, Travis says, and now Obi-Wan's Crate Dragon scream sounds like a redneck getting splashed in the butthole with toilet water. That's a great comment. I think that's a great comment to end on. I think I've said everything I can on Empire Strikes Back. I mean, there's probably a lot more to say, but how about yourself? Final thoughts on Empire Strikes Back?
It is objectively the best one. Not my favorite, because I do, like I always said, preferred number 4. I think there's an innocence to 4 as well. I think there's a mystique, something a bit you don't know. And I like that. It's more, you know, that kind of fantasy movie, whereas this, there was more, right, we know what's going on. And it's because the world's kind of now established and we know what's going on. There was something nice about 4 of just being like, oh, it's just quite nice. You know, so I still, it's still second to me to 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably objectively the best one though.
I just love the way the camera moves in this one, and you know, I was paying attention more to the camera movements and the zoom ins on certain reactions, like the bit where they choose to seal the doors at the Echo base at the beginning while Han and Luke are outside, and it just zooms in on Leia's reaction as the door comes down. Just little subtle camera movements like that. The bit with like Captain Needa, where we just hard cut to him on the floor dead, and then it pans back up to Vader like, apology accepted, Captain Needa. The bit where Vader's in his pod, like his meditation chamber, there's just loads of little bits like that.
There's that thing, every single, not every line, so many lines that Darth Vader says. I swear I had an action figure that said the exact same lines. You press a button and every single thing, not every single thing, but every now and then there's a line. I'm like, I remember that. I know it comes next because I know my figure said it, and it was great. It was just brilliant. There was so many quotable lines from him.
Oh, Vader's fantastic in this one. Like this has my favorite Vader moment out of all the films. And I've mentioned it to you already, but it's the bit right at the end where the Falcon makes the jump to light speed and Vader's looking out the window and he turns away. He does another double take out the window and then he just puts his hand behind his back and he stalks away, and the music gets really intense and all the workers are just like cowering before him, like, oh God, he's going to kick off. But he doesn't. He's just in silence and just storms off. And that's so much more effective than Kylo Ren, who just go like, and like smash everything up and be like a petulant child throwing his dollies out of the pram. Vader's just silent. I'm pissed off, and you know I'm pissed off.
I don't like Adam Driver. Don't like Kylo Ren.
Oh, there's a change I don't like from the in the newer version. They remove one of my favorite Vader lines, and it's after Luke throws himself down the pit in Bespin. And we cut to Vader as he's leaving Bespin, and he just goes, "Bring my shuttle." Full stop. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll get right on that. Whereas in the new one, it's just like, inform my Star Destroyer to prepare for my arrival. I'm like, oh, it's not an improvement, that one. And Brinsley says, only thing I love from the new era is Andor. Andor was fantastic, but I tell you what, if it meant sacrificing Andor to just sweep all Disney canon out, I would do it.
Acolyte.
Anyway, that will do it. We're coming up to 2 hours and I need to be up very, very early. I've done no piano practice today, so I need to get up in about 5 hours and try and get a few hours in before I go for my lesson. This has been really fun talking about this tonight. I needed this movie tonight. I really did. It was a hard day of work today, and I was just thinking, like, I'm seeing Star Wars tonight. That's going to be good. So in terms of what's coming up on the channel, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone tuning in tonight till ridiculous o'clock in the morning to talk some Star Wars. It's always a pleasure seeing familiar faces, having a conversation with you guys. It's always great. And if you're discovering this video,
speaking of seeing familiar faces, you know when you like, you know, if you say someone, right, listen a sec, you know, you're like listening, someone listens to you. Do you ever find yourself saying it when you're typing as well? You say, listen a sec, and you're there just like, I'm not listening to anything. It should be read a sec. It's kind of like familiar faces. It's like familiar text.
I never even thought about that, but I guess you're right. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Just say like familiar texts, not familiar. But anyway,
if you're discovering this video after the fact, please do let us know your thoughts on The Empire Strikes Back, the original trilogy, prequels, anything you like, and I suppose the sequels as well. Get it all in there, and do consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this, discussions and live streams. I will be back again on Friday with everything in Middle Earth for the finale of season 2 of Rings of Power. I'm sure that's going to be a fun one to talk about and dismantle and rant about. Probably will also be alive again. Alive, hopefully. We'll be live again on Saturday. We've got tickets booked for the Joker Folie à Deux, or the Joker
most
2.
Pretentious name in the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going to call it Joker 2. So we're seeing that on Saturday. So we'll have a live review for that as soon as we're out, and then. Yeah, then we'll have our Disney review again on Monday, and then we'll have Return of the Jedi next Tuesday. And I can confirm it is next Tuesday. I have checked the date now. So basically 1 week from today, and we'll be closing it out.
The best Disney movie ever.
Yeah, and we won't be seeing episodes 7, 8, and 9. Sorry, guys. Like, I know we've just mentioned tonight, some people are sequel fans in the comments. We ain't going to see it. I am not subjecting my time or money to pay and go and see those films again. It ain't happening. Mosine says, see you on Friday, I guess. Yeah, I'll see you Friday, man. Rings of Power. It's going to be fun. And yeah, no, I appreciate all of you, and you're welcome about all the streams. It's good fun to do. So yeah, we'll catch you next time. Have a good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching this from, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.